Hi friends, welcome to the ZiaWoolz Studio Buzz podcast, episode 48. My name is Doug and this little show comes to you from Albuquerque in New Mexico. This is where I live and this is also where I dye my yarns, always inspired by the beautiful desert around me. I am talking about knitting, sometimes crochet, sometimes spinning, all kinds of fiber arts, and I wanted to start with wishing you all a very happy new year. Let's just hope that it's going to be a good year, a happy year, and a healthy year, and of course also filled with lots of beautiful yarns. Okay, where to start? As usual, I have all my things right in front of me, and I thought, of course you can imagine there's been a lot of knitting time over the holidays. We've had the fire going, we've been sitting together as a family, of course playing games also, but also it was just a lot of comfy talking time, knitting time, eating time, and so I have finished some things which I don't have anymore because I have finished them right before Christmas and they've been gifted. And I will insert the pictures here for you. One was the hat, which I finished in the ZiaWoolz Big and Bulky yarn in a one-of-a-kind blue colorway, and I added a kind of a rusty orangey brown pom-pom to it, and it just looked fabulous. And I think the friend who got the hat really liked it. The double-held socks, which I made for my son, the Christmas socks, they fitted well, and I think he likes them. If he's going to wear them, I don't know, but he wears them around the house. I'm pretty sure of it. And the Christmas socks are not just for Christmas, right? That's just the way it is. Those were the finished socks. And also I continued working on my pair of Christmas socks. The yarn was gifted to me by a friend in Germany who dyed up the yarn matching to my project bag. No, I'm joking, but isn't this crazy how well the colors match my bag? It's one of my Christmas bags made with vintage fabric. And I really like what she did here. Look at this, the very thin stripes. I love it. I didn't get too much done. I think I was just past the heel last time we chatted. And yeah, these are slow growing when I need a sock project to go, and I will get these done for Christmas 2020, I promise. What else? I have also been working on my sock memory blanket. It was kind of like, when it gets chillier and your husband uses your sock memory blanket, it's good when you're kind of a little further along in the other blanket, because it's just at a point where I can just about cover my legs, and I'm talking about my Song Song blanket. This was inspired by the free pattern, well-known sock memory blanket, and I thought I use two sock yarns together, and that's, I just love it so much. I love how the colors play together and how they sing together. And this is how I came up with the name, and I called it the Song Blanket. It's just the length, as you can see, where I can cover my legs, as I said, but of course I'm far from a decent size sock, blanket, from a decent blanket size. I have written up the recipe for this blanket and put it up on Ravelry for free. But in case you want to know, just real quick, I am casting on 63 stitches with 5.5 millimeter needles, and I am joining the squares as I go, of course, and I am holding two yarns together. One of them is a hand-dyed yarn, and one of them is a commercial sock yarn. And often what I do is that I use like a bigger leftover of the hand dyed, and then in combination with it I use little bits of the other kind. Yeah, and so I kind of like that I'm using up a lot of little bits of leftovers that way too. And you can see I usually get a lot of ends to weave in, and it doesn't bother me really. I'm just doing it from time to time. As you can see, some is done, and everything that's new actually I haven't woven in the ends. That's okay. And did I say 5.5 millimeter needles? I apologize. I never know what that is in US. Yeah. And the middle decrease stitch, I work as a purl on the back side, even though this is a knitting only garter stitch pattern. I purl the middle stitch on the back side, so I get this beautiful knitted stitch showing in the center. Let me try it. I'm gonna try to get this a little bit closer to you. Where is the middle stitch? Where are you? There you go. Yeah. Love it. I will just keep going on this. This is just a fun, at some point it's going to be a really nice, very, very warm and very, very squishy blanket. And I just love how the colors play together so much. Like every single square is fun because it's such a surprise to see how the colors play together. You all know I also record the German podcast. I did that yesterday, and I pointed out, well, actually two things that I'm not talking about in the English version. One of them is that Mom finished all her, she's on her 11th pair of socks. Some we sold because she sells socks for a good cause, for this organization, nonprofit in Germany. But we did, among friends, sell some of her socks here, but still since then there are 4 more pairs that she finished. One of them was for my son, and these are the other ones that she finished. I love the yarn so much of all of these. It was kind of an interesting thing that we did. I wanted to mention that in case someone out there struggles with something similar. She found that over the year, her gauge loosened up. So actually, I notice it quite a bit in the foot of the sock where the fabric tends to be quite loose, and I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I thought the socks would wear better if the fabric is denser. And so I had this light bulb moment, and I said, why don't you try knitting the socks with 2mm needles? And these are the first socks where she tried that. And I think I can really tell, and you probably can tell too, so that the stitches are very even, and it's a denser fabric and just really nice. I think it was a good move. And I asked her, of course you need more rows to get to a certain length. And I asked her if she has an idea how much, and she said it's really not much, probably just about 3 to 4 more rows to get to the same length, kind of like a size 8 to 9 sock. Yeah. That's what Mom showed yesterday. So if you want to see her again before she leaves, tune into the German episode. The other thing that I mentioned in the German podcast, where I'm not so sure that you can actually really benefit of this, because there's a tutorial in German for a zigzag corner to corner blanket, which I thought was really genius. It's a German woman, Suzanne, who put out that tutorial. It's not her idea, and she asked the person who came up with the idea if she could put out the tutorial, and that's what she did. Of course, she speaks in German, but I thought if you're interested in seeing something new, check it out. I'm going to put the information on the screen, and probably everybody knows and remembers my corner to corner blanket. In case you're not familiar with it, I thought I'd bring it one more time. This is where I am right now. Sorry, I'm looking for the 2 upper corner because I decided on this width, and now I just got to go until I've reached the length that I want. Every time I take this out, I love it so very much, and I want to continue, but there are other things that are a little more pressing right now, which I will show you in a second. But I call it my happy blanket because of all of these bright and cheerful colors. Love it. Yes, and when I am not working on it, it lives in this super cute sheep bag. Large sweater size. I have also, of course, as you imagine, worked on the sweater for my son. Did you wonder if I finished it for Christmas? I wondered too. Of course I didn't. I think 2 days after I recorded the last episode, I knew I'm not going to make it. And the reason was not so much the amount of knitting, but more the combination with not really being sure that my measurements were right and that it was going to really fit him. And in the end, I gifted the sweater with the yarn in a box. And it's kind of funny because he opened the box, and I put the yarn that I hadn't knitted up yet on top of a layer of tissue paper. So it was like, huh? Yarn? And I said, yeah, sure. I want you to learn to knit. And he really, I was so surprised. He took it like a totally like a good sport. He did not yell at me, oh, are you crazy, or never in a million years, or anything like that. No, it was kind of fine. But then I said, no, I'm just kidding. And the sweater, but the sweater that I'm talking about is this guy. I dyed the yarn specifically for the sweater. I think blue, my son looks fabulous in blue. He always looks fabulous. But blue is especially nice on him. So I thought these three colors would be great. I thought to accent them, I put in a different, very dark color in between. And it worked out great. So the very dark charcoaly color was also a bit of an extra to make sure that I have enough yarn, because I really wasn't sure. I used the ZiaWoolz Cozy Base, which is a superwash merino nylon blend, and it has about 260 yards, I'm thinking. So I had 2 skeins of each color, and yeah, it was actually really just the right amount. It's a DK yarn, and I have really just half a yard of this stuff left. I have the middle color this much, and the charcoal, which is still attached to the ribbing down here, I have just this much left. I came up with the way I wanted to knit the sweater. I don't find that too hard, and I also do a short row neckline. I did, however, think that in the end, I would have preferred the sleeves to be a little less wide in comparison to the body. And what I did once I got here and started working on the sleeves, I worked a little triangle with a very fast decrease of 6 stitches to get to a less wide sleeve quickly, at least a little bit. And then I started my regular decreases. I ended up then trying this on my son a couple of times to make sure the measurements were right, and as you can see, this is decreased quite rapidly, and I had already worked a little bit further, probably to here, and also continued the decreases to maybe where my fingertip is. But when he tried it on at some point, he said this area, which was right here at his forearm, was already a little bit too tight. So, or he would prefer it if it was looser. So I ripped back and ended up knitting up a little bit more also of that middle color, and then did the last section just straight with that last color until I was at the length that I wanted. The ribbing I did with 3.5 millimeter needles, and the way I do this, you may see that it's ever so slightly curling, also actually on the bottom ribbing you see it a bit more. But the way I do this is I use the needle size that I use for the main body, which is 4 millimeters, and I cast off knitwise, but I hold a good tension the way I have it all over the sweater. So I have it quite tensioned. I try mentally to tell myself, don't try to be loose, because that's what you use a larger needle for. And that usually works very well. And also, let me show you the bottom. I'm thinking it looks just wonky because it's not blocked yet, see? And once it's blocked and laid out, it's going to be fine. That's how I actually want it. And I just tried this on him 2 days ago, and what I noticed was that it's kind of like a go at this point, so I got to weave in the ends. The sleeves are perfect, and also the only thing was that the bottom length, he was like, that's quite long. So since garments tend to grow a little bit, I'm thinking I may really ask him again and not weave in the ends on the bottom, and maybe take away just 2 inches here, but then also make a shorter ribbing, kind of more corresponding to the sleeves. And I think I may just do this, even without asking him anymore. He said, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine. But I don't know. I think I'm just going to do it. Okay, I'll decide when I weave in my ends, because that should be super easy to do. I mean, rip it if I don't need to re-knit, which is, well, I will need to re-knit the ribbing, but otherwise, I mean, that's no big deal to change that. That is the sweater for my boy, my big boy. Very happy about this. And I think he is too. I got to get it done because our winters are short here in the desert, and it's been pretty chilly. So I think he would like to have his sweater. He would enjoy it now. Yes. What else? I had finished. Did I tell you about the other socks that oh yes, I did tell you about that. I told you about the hat that I finished. I told you about the Christmas socks that I finished. Yes, I did. And the other, I'll show you about Oma's socks. No socks finished that I can show you, but I have started something new. The reason was, I mean, you know, I'm always like a back and forth kind of person. Sometimes I want to reduce my works in progress. Other times I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to cast on. But which in the end doesn't make me too happy, because I get overwhelmed with too many. But right now I'm quite disciplined, but that was the reason to cast on a new shawl, because in February I will go to the with the yarn store at Nob Hill, where organizes another knitting retreat in Arizona, and I will join them again. I will be vending. And so I thought, it would be really nice to have a new sample with my yarns. I decided I want to use 2 colors, which in the combination, that combination was not my idea, but it was a friend's idea. She shopped exactly that combo at the studio tour here, and it blew me away. I mean, she put the yarns together and she said, this is what I wanted. I'm like, whoa. I would have never picked these together. You know how we have our go-to stuff, and this was just really awesome to try something new, even though now I feel like it's really totally my colors, but at that point I would just not have combined them. And what I'm talking about is these 2. One of them is called Farmstead, and the other one is Turquoise Trail, named after the road that goes behind my mountains here to Madrid and then to Santa Fe. Let me come a little closer. The cool thing is that the turquoise has this green in it, but just a hint of it. Not sure if you even can see that. I am just so in love with this combination. And this is ZiaWoolz Sun Dancer, and I am just flying through this project because I have so much respect for everybody who can design something as beautiful as this, what I'm knitting on, this shawl. This is just so much fun to knit up and so gorgeous as a product that you're not going to want to stop working on it if you find the perfect color combination even more. And what I'm talking about is the Harmonized Shawl by Romy Hill. It lives in one of my pattern minders, chart minders from my friend Melody, who makes these. She's a genius. And let me find the front page so I can show you the pattern. I'm sorry, I am. Black and white, that doesn't do you much, I know. Wait a second. So, like I said, this pattern is absolutely killer. I mean, to come up with this, I have so much respect for, in this case, Mrs. Romy Hill. And I'm going to show you why, and I'm going to show you where I am. I've only been working on this for a week or so. Okay, it's already pretty big. I am using fairly short needles, but I have, I think, about 220 stitches at this point. And after I'm done with this pattern repeat, I will still have, I think, 2 more sections, and then I'm done. Let me show you why I'm so in love with this. Is this not incredible? I mean, she designed a pattern where literally this one color sits almost like a mesh layer over the other color. I just adore this. I decided to start with the green because in the end, I want the turquoise to be the large section, the way I did it here. I'm wearing my White Out by Melanie Burke in ZiaWoolz lace yarn Muse, and another, I think it's called Silken Sea, that I got on a vacation. And I specifically, it's always when you have an asymmetrical shawl, it's just nice to choose, to plan it that way, to have that the color that you want to be most visible at the end. In this case, for me, it was orange, and in this case, it's the turquoise. That's why I started with the green. I have to say, I find this quite beginner friendly if you are daring and if you are not afraid. The lace sections are fairly short, and if you end up messing up, you can easily rip back to the last section where it's only knitting and purling. And what else? I wanted to, oh yes, I wanted, really, it's easy to understand, and it's very logical once you start knitting it. So even though the designer recommends to put stitch markers after every pattern repeat, which is normally something that I really, really do. In this case, I didn't, and I'm fine. I only found that at some point, one single time, I didn't have the stitch count at the beginning of the row or at the end of the row. I was missing a stitch, or I had one too many, and I just increased by one or decreased by one more than I had to, which was so easy. Yeah, I can't wait to have this done. I am really in love with this pattern, and if you find two colors in your stash that you've always wanted to combine, wow, here is the project for it. This hasn't even made it into a project bag. It's always out. I'm working on it every single day because I can't wait to have it done, and it's so much fun and not hard. It's a little demanding, but I can work on it even at night when I'm tired. I'm not really messing up except for that one time where I was one stitch off, and that's really not a problem at all. What was I going to tell you? Talking about designers, you know me, I design sometimes and I don't claim to be the super duper designer, but sometimes I just enjoy it, and sometimes I want to put out something. And the reason in this case, where I'm just writing up a new pattern for fingerless mitts, is that I am in a group chat with some German knitters where we have decided to make something for the hands, which reminded me that I came up with a fingerless mitt pattern 2 years ago, which I really loved, and I always thought, wow, I want to write this up really as a pattern to publish, and I've never done it. But now I thought, well, to have a knit along where I do something for the hands and I do my own pattern again, which I knit up like a maniac every October when I have the studio tour open house, and I have offer those for sale. I made, I think, 15 pairs, something like that last year. I didn't want to do those again, so I thought, let's do something for that knit along that's a little bit more challenging, finer needles, and let's write up that pattern right away. And that's what I'm on right now. So this will be coming soon, and the plan is to have it done maybe the latest in 2 weeks, and then I will put it out on, well, I'm not going to put it out on Ravelry right away. It's going to be tested by the women in that group, and then I'm going to put it out on Ravelry. And I think it's going to be a quite flexible, let's call it a flexible pattern, where people can use even bigger needles and knit just knit a smaller size in that regard. Or, well, you know me, I'm a tight knitter, so if you are not, you just have to make the smaller size, or you can adjust the pattern. That's always an option, right? This is where I am right now. I'm using 2.5 millimeter needles, sock yarn, with this beautiful hand spun. It is a red to orange kind of variegated 2-ply yarn. I'm thinking it's a merino, but then again, it's not super soft. I'm not quite sure. Either was missing a label. And like I said, a 2-ply, great colors for me. I am just now finished with the wrist, and I started the lace pattern because there will be a lace pattern starting at the wrist that goes up on the back of the hand. And I decided to go without a wrist ribbing and just to utilize the stitches that transition into the lace from now on. And there will be a thumb gusset also that I'm starting now. And I've already done some writing, and I was so happy because I had already finished the chart. But so funny, because I have the chart for a 3 by 3 cable in it, and I saw yesterday that one symbol for one of the cables is wrong. I'm going to put in the picture. So I'm going to have to fix that. Wait, I wanted to show you. See, this is a 2/4 cables, even though the instructions are written correctly. But the top one is where the cable goes the other way and where it's written correctly. I mean, the symbol is correct too. Hi. So now I haven't even taken the time to look again at the symbols in the chart. What's it called? I used a different website this time. Stitch Fiddle. Yes. Yeah, so I'm going to have to correct this. That's just one of the things you can run into when you write a pattern. When I made the first pair, which I'm modifying right now, by the way, 2 years ago, and I looked for my notes the other day when I wanted to start. This is what I first found, and it made me laugh because I thought, how is anybody gonna make sense out of this? Not even, I mean, even me. How am I gonna figure out what I was thinking and what I was doing? But I think this was really just a sketch to figure out where the lace pattern goes on the back of the hand with the stitches. So this was not really what I then used. So I had better notes coming up. Made me laugh. Yeah, so stay tuned. This is going to come at some point. I'm excited about it. And I will put in a picture of the mitts, the way the original version looks like, which is going to be a little bit changed because what I thought might be worth improving is that the lace pattern is asymmetrical, and I wanted a symmetrical one where that's just me, a little weird at times. Yeah, that was my knitting. And let me just check real quick. Yes, that was that. In regards to the knit along that we had before Christmas, I wanted to thank everybody who participated. We had exactly 50 entries in the finished object thread, and during the German podcast, I picked a random number, and it was the number 29 from the FO thread, which was a gal from Germany who won. So this is the sock yarn that I decided to give away. It is my beekeeper colorway, and she already has watched the episode, and she sent me a message telling me how excited she is, and that she really is looking forward to it, and she loves her skein. And so that is this. And don't be sad, there will be another knit along and another giveaway at some point, because we all love a good knit along and we all love a fun giveaway. That was that in regards to Christmas, looking back to the pre-Christmas time. But I also wanted to show you something that I received as a Christmas present, which I thought is not that well known in the United States, but it's something that you could look up if you are interested. And it's this beautiful needle case that I received as a gift from a friend in Germany. The company is very well known in Germany, and it's called Bodolina.de. That's the website. I looked at the website today and I thought, well, it gave it to me with the descriptions in English. The cool thing is that I have my needles, all my needles. I have my system. They're all sorted in a certain way. I have a needle minder which is hanging for circular needles. I have it over here because I brought it to show you again. and I have other stuff how I'm organized. I really didn't need anything except for this, which is so crazy. And she didn't even know that. It was just weird how it worked out. Because I have a few interchangeable needles. And this case, check it out. It is kind of like, it has this stair construction. So you can put the shorter tips of your needles in these compartments and then your cables in between. And it comes with stickers to put on for the sizes, so you don't pull them all out when you're looking for a size. There is a zippered compartment here, and the little tool, I saw that on a podcast somewhere, I put in here. These come in all kinds of colors. I saw that and I just love it. I also, just so you get an idea of how I organize myself, I have a place on a shelf where I have DPNs and crochet hooks in little cups, or in these are all my sock needles. And let me just grab. I sewed this a while ago and I kind of figured out all the measurements by myself, and I'm using heavy canvas fabric. I mean, I used that and I sewed pieces of a tablecloth that was worn through. I put that on before I did the finishing. And this is the back. And I wrote the number sizes on there with a fusion pen. I think that's what they're called. The one where you iron and it goes away. But then in the back, it was not too practical, so I added the sizes also on the front. I hope you can see that. I don't. Oh yes, now I can. Yep, that's this. One of the things that I love to do with my mom when she's here is we love to go thrifting. We go treasure hunting. And we, in fact, found something so cool the other day that I thought I gotta show you guys. And I was so lucky and got a whole bunch of craft books. Some of them even German ones, and literally for pennies in a clearance section. And the reason why, I mean, I love them in itself, but also I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned that I occasionally do a punch needle. And I brought you something that I am working on. And the reason I wanted to pull this out anyways is that my rug hooking guild is having a little punch needle class in February. So I'm gonna kind of like touch up on my technique or see if I can learn something new, because I never really took a class or anything. But I have started a project which looks like this. I worked on this a while ago. I haven't touched it in a long time, and it is I purchased a kit at the ZiaWoolz Fest, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And this is how it looks like from the back, by the way, in case you're interested. The fabric has to be very tensioned, and this is kind of one of those do yourself, make your own, not picture frame, I don't think so. I don't know if this is intended to be just a frame or if it's intended to be for painting. I'm not sure. But that's why there's so many thumbtacks in here, to really have the fabric very well tensioned. And the motif is just, I am sure you agree that this is super cute. I just got to finish it. I'm going to be working on this. And in case you are interested, I brought my case where I keep my accessories. This is how I organize myself. It sits on a shelf and it has the contents in here. I always like to know this about how do other people organize their craft supplies. Top level is all the things, all the materials that I got with the kit for this motif, with the punch needle. If you don't know what punch needle is, I recommend to look it up. I mean, you can make beautiful things with it, with finer threads as well as coarser wool. I feel like there's a trend right now where you can also find a lot of pictures on Instagram, for example, probably Pinterest too. I haven't even looked there. But to get back to where I started from was that the books that we found, and these are most of them from the 70s, and the designs that you have in these books are just so gorgeous. Look at this. And I'm thinking a lot of them would be so wonderful to translate into rugs or pillows or for punch needle or rug hooking or something. Yeah. This is actually a combination of Danish and English to both languages. Beautiful, beautiful. And I am not sure if something like this would still be available. Danish Handcraft Guild. Doesn't say when it was. Oh, 1974. Never mind. Yep. Wonderful. And then another one is that I thought was super funny was this one. All kinds of inspirations and recipes and craft ideas for the Christmas season. And yeah, I haven't even really looked through it. I'm just really thrilled that I found this. This one was also from 1972. Looked that up yesterday. Then I have this one which talks about all kinds of different techniques, how you can make rugs, from braided rugs over to rug hooking, and also there was something else that I thought was super interesting. Weaving, of course, and punch needle also. Oh yes, here's the page with the punch. Oh, does it even say anything? Oh, it says shuttle hook method. So fun. This, as far as I remember, was also from 1972. Yep. But the one that I like the best And it just has the most amazing designs from the 70s. That's this guy. This already back then cost $10, which I think, oh, that's quite a bit. Also from 1972. And it has, okay, let me find some of these cool things for you. There's really nothing that I don't like in here. So 70s. Absolutely fabulous. Sorry, sometimes I can't flip over the colored pictures and then it's just hard to get to the right spot again. Oh, look at that bird there. Is that not fun? Love it. I wonder if that's still available. If you want to look it up. Modern embroidery, Eichrosen. Yes. And I have come to the end. I hope you are all well. I hope you're all going to have a good time. And until I see you again in a few weeks, I wish you happy knitting. Bye.